This FedGov Today program is sponsored by Okta and Carasoft. Welcome back. Several breakthroughs are coming in the Defense Department's Zero Trust efforts. The department's goal is to get to full target level implementation of Zero Trust by the end of fiscal 2027. Sabrina Lea is Federal Sales Director at Okta. At TechNet Cyber, I ask her what organizations in DoD should avoid in implementing Zero Trust.
Don't just buy a bunch of vendors and go down a checklist, right? You can go down the 91 target activities in the DoD Zero Trust reference architecture, and you can find a vendor for all 91, right? Or you could maybe center it around 30 if you want. It doesn't matter. The thing that I advise everyone on is don't focus solely on the requirements that the vendors meet. Focus on how the vendors talk to each other. Because at the end of the day, the thing that's the most important in Zero Trust is this concept of shared signals. So if I'm an identity vendor and you're an endpoint vendor, and we don't do a good job talking to each other and alerting each other, hey, I saw a compromised identity, you should brick their device. Or, hey, I saw a compromised device, you should do something with their identity, right? That is the key to Zero Trust, in my opinion. And a lot of times the checklist model finds a great identity vendor and a great endpoint vendor or others, and they don't talk to each other. So I think that's really crucial as a first step.
So how does one evaluate whether that communication line is as open as it should be?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the old process of sort of issuing RFIs and waiting for a bunch of vendors to respond and then kind of reading through all of those responses is a little antiquated. And there are better ways to use, AI and other automated tools to assess what's out there in the market and what vendors are actually investing in doing the good job of talking to each other. The biggest thing that I could advise is to go with vendors who support open standards. They don't lock you into their specific protocols or their specific technology. They are based on independent, neutral, open protocols and standards. That's probably the best thing. But on top of that, the pre-built integrations based on those standards really matter. A vendor like Okta, we have pre-built integrations with tons of different security and infrastructure providers. So those are a few tidbits I would say.
It probably is encouraging to you then that open standards are becoming the kind of the coin of the realm across the department, not just in cybersecurity, but across all types of acquisition.
Yeah, and especially in identity. So identity is a little bit of it's sort of stood still in time for a while and was dominated by one vendor. And over the last 20 years, there have been a ton of new standards being introduced into the market, which isn't common in every vertical. So it is kind of nice to be part of a vertical where new standards are being introduced all the time. That has been really, really encouraging.
What are the gaps that you see? What are the holes in the wall still that remain for organizations that are really trying to lock this stuff down?
Yeah, I see a big gap right now, and I serve the Department of Defense. I can't speak for all of federal, so I'll give you my perspective on the Department of Defense. In the DoD, there's a lot of talk about wanting modern SaaS, cloud, innovative technology. But then when they push out requirements, the requirements state that the technology must work on all of our fabrics, all of our very customized, air-gapped, classified systems. And a lot of the most innovative technologies can't support that whole requirement, but they can on some level. And when you do these big RFIs and RFPs, you hamstring yourself into getting a bunch of responses about legacy technology. So my advice would be maybe smaller scoped RFIs that give you quick wins where you need them, right? Not trying to eat the entire elephant and finding a technology that works for every single subset of mission areas.
Yeah. A quick final thought. Do you see progress in that area? Is the department getting it and getting better at it?
I do. And I think the recent guidance from the administration around OTAs is going to help. Those are faster procurement timelines. They're faster research and development timelines. They allow you to do that sort of all call, give me a little bit of information, I'll make a choice, and then I'll change it if I have to. I don't have to solve the whole problem today right up front. So
what will continue to drive that, do you think?
Honestly, the talent in the DoD and in the government. I think retaining talent right now is critical in our government. And I think that the more innovative talent that we can keep on staff, the better the process will be.